Today's episode of End the Weekend, I'm picking up my Model Y. Should we go get this Tesla?
I reckon.
Let's do it. Hey, I'm Andrew.
Hey, I'm Shane.
And today, something a bit different. We're driving in the car and on our way to the Tesla Model Y pickup point. So
Pickup day.
Pickup day.
Always fun.
Exactly. So during the week, I've been updating that Model Y post that I have on endtheweekend.com, and I officially got the okay to come pick up the car. So during the week, it was an SMS while I was seeing everyone on the forums saying, and on the Facebook page saying that they're getting SMSs. I was just like, what's happening? Why haven't I got the SMS? And then that afternoon, surely enough, I got the SMS to say, come pick up the car.
How good is that SMS when I'm
I think it's that thing that everybody looks for when you're waiting for your Tesla, is just to see that SMS to come pick it up is amazing. It's been an interesting journey from that point of view as well. That as I mentioned in some of the other episodes, I did go with the Vita Prime membership. So I've kind of had daily updates on where the car is. So to give you, maybe we'll go over a quick brief of what's happened with the car and what kind of happened from that point of view. So it looks like the car was made on the 29th of July, and it was then sat in a car park for about a week or two. It got on the ship, the Morning Clara. From the ship, it got moved. It sailed basically across the sea from China over to Brisbane. Was its first stop. It stopped in the port of Brisbane. It looks like that no Teslas were unloaded there, interestingly enough. And then came to Port Kembla, and that's where my car has been unloaded. So it was quite interesting. There was a couple of guys on the Vita Prime forum, the score page, I should say. There was some spy shots of the Auto Nexus car park where the transport company keeps. So it was very exciting. I was keeping Shane up to date on all those updates, and it was interesting seeing
many updates.
It was interesting seeing like when those spy photos came out, like of the car park, seeing all the Tesla Model Ys and Model 3s there. I think that's when it got a little bit exciting. So I knew it was in Australia, so it's been here since, I think it was Saturday. Saturday they unloaded the cars, so Saturday night. And we kind of got a spy shot on the Monday morning from the car park.
So many cars there.
Yeah, there was hundreds of cars there. I think the guesstimation was in that car park alone was about 500.
500 to 600.
500 to 600 they was thinking. Obviously that's a complete guesstimate. That's just based on how many rows there were and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was interesting seeing that. And then knowing when, I guess it's kind of like a double-edged sword when you go with that membership, right? Because I think it's almost better not to know, because you're not on the edge going, come on, where's the update? I'm the type of person that I find it hard to concentrate when I know there's something there waiting. I hate that waiting game. I hate not knowing. I hate not seeing a regular update, which might be just because of our generation. But I had the update, and it was
kind of like when you buy something online and you get the shipping tracking info. It's sitting at the warehouse. It's still sitting at the warehouse.
Exactly. So at the moment we're on our way to the Alexandria depot. My Tesla is booked for 10 a.m. pickup. Opening. So basically they said they open the doors 15 minutes before, but they basically said, look, we probably can't give you the Tesla until 10 o'clock, because obviously they've got to get the showroom ready. They've got to make sure all the cars are in line, they're all charged. I think they do some of their pre-checks. That's pretty much where we're at the moment. So
second day, isn't it? I think only the first Ys
were delivered yesterday. So I think we saw a bunch of posts online yesterday on the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y Facebook page. There was a couple of posts of people picking up their Ys and some Model 3s as well. It was quite cute. They had, I don't know if it was the Alexandria or it was the Chatswood pickup point that was posted, but it was interesting. They had like little balloons with Model Y, and they had little cakes they were giving out to all the new Model Y owners.
Little cupcakes with the Tesla symbol on them.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what we get. We're probably going to be a tiny bit early for this pickup. As you can see, if I switch over to my glasses view, Shane's at 58%, so maybe we'll swing by that Ampol charger that's in Alexandria. I think it's in Alexandria, isn't it?
Alexandria, about 5 minutes away, I think.
Yeah, so might do a quick top up while we're waiting, because I think we're going to be a little bit early. We're going to be at 9:30 according to the screen at the moment. And yeah, it's all happening. So this is, I guess, for this episode, it's probably going to be highly visual. If you're listening on the podcast, have a look at the YouTube, find the YouTube page, and follow us that way. But we'll try and be as descriptive as possible on the podcast version. So yeah, should we talk about a little bit of EV news?
Yeah, I think so. So I guess there's a lot of Model Ys and Model 3s about to go out the door. There'll be a lot of happy customers been waiting for probably anywhere from 6 to 12 months, maybe in some cases.
Yeah.
For some of the Performance 3s are hopefully coming soon.
Yeah, so I think I saw a Model Performance Y delivered yesterday as well, which is exciting. Yeah. I didn't think that they were going to be on this shipment, so it sounds like one or two made it on the shipment, which is great.
A small handful of Performance Ys will get out the door.
Yeah.
But I also saw that BYD have their first 1,000 imminent. I think they had it. They had parked it in a way that said high AUS, high Oz.
Yeah.
And they had the words 1,000, so the cars were in the parking lot. So a drone shot from above could
nice.
Come down. So
yeah, they'll be due to be on shore. I don't think they've actually delivered any yet, have they? Though.
Not that I've seen. No.
Yeah, I don't think anything's been delivered yet. But my understanding is they're either on their way or they're already here, ready to be delivered. So
I think in Brisbane they've got their first right-hand drive one in the showroom.
In the showroom, yeah, because we've only seen the left-hand drive one at this stage with I think the half translated unit. I think so. It'll be interesting to see what we get when we pull up. So. Yeah, so the other big news that I was watching yesterday was there was the Tesla shareholders meeting. Did you catch any of that, Shane?
No, I didn't. There's normally good tidbits that come out from that. What's the...
Yeah, so it was basically held in the Giga Texas factory. And it was really more of an update, what's happening, how they're producing. They were mentioning that Berlin started producing cars this year. The Giga Berlin, the Giga Shanghai has got a pretty high output, but they mentioned that the Fremont factory has the highest producing factory yet at the moment, and I think they even said the highest producing factory in the whole of California. So that was interesting. They also talked about a little bit stats about, there's a lot of misinformation, which is funny because Shane and I were talking about some misinformation stuff that was out yesterday. And they spoke a little bit around the CO2 emissions of electric cars and how, people like to hate on electric cars and say, they're worse for the environment. But there was clear studies showing that, per car, the CO2 emissions is almost double, if not triple, the amount of emissions that ICE cars emit. So they talked a little bit around that. They spoke about some of their new ventures. They talk about that they now make the Tesla Solar is basically producing more power than ever before. So all Tesla solar panels that have ever been made, basically they're outputting more power than it's taken to create them, and more power. It was something called blood.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that Elon's always said is they don't want to just be a car company. They're really going to be an energy. Yeah,
and they a sustainable future, and this is the path. This is the way we get off fossil fuel. This is a journey. It's definitely not saying that we're in a perfect state. Look, I agree. I've got to admit, Shane and I were talking about some mini road trips during the week, and when I started to look at some regional New South Wales areas to look for chargers, it's very scarce in regional New South Wales. I have a mate that lives out in Candos, which I'd love to go visit, and there's literally between my house and his house there are no chargers. So I'd have to do a detour to Mudgee, to Bathurst, to one of those other main regional centres to be able to, I guess, top up
Yeah.
so I can then make it home.
And I think, like, let's say we both went out there for a bit of a road trip, taking out both our cars,
Yeah.
and there's only that one. It's not even an ultra fast charger,
Yeah.
it's a 50 kilowatt.
Yeah.
So not bad. But if there's two cars banked up trying to use it,
Yeah.
so
look, there's definitely problems with infrastructure, and I think everybody acknowledges that, and I think that's why the government is pushing so hard for the infrastructure to be built. At the end of the day, electricity is pretty much everywhere. It's a matter of getting the approvals for car parks, for powered lines, for all that kind of stuff to get them up and running. So it's interesting times. So they also spoke about that at the moment the Model Y is set to overtake the most bought Tesla car on record. So Model Y is heading that way. I think there's a reason it's a clear winner. It's a great family car, right? Like, while this Model 3, for example, is a fantastic car, I think if you had a couple of kids, I think it might be a little bit squishy in here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I guess it's the market itself, that sort of medium SUV range, which just in the United States and in Oz, just people love it. So I think you can see why it's doing so well, and I think Elon knew what he was talking about when he was saying it was going to be the best-selling
Yeah,
Tesla
exactly. And they gave a little hint about factories being built. So he didn't specify exactly, but he basically said there's a couple more gigafactories to come online soon, and there'll be an announcement towards the end of the year, I think is what he basically mentioned. So there was a lot of people online saying it's Canada, but I think they were all rumours. He didn't substantiate those rumours. He didn't say that it was or is or isn't. So yeah, we don't know. I mean, in my personal opinion, it'd be great if we had an Australian factory. We have all the lithium here. We have all the raw materials. We have skilled workers from the South Australia plants.
South Australia
that are no longer around. Look, I know it's expensive to build cars in Australia, but I'd like to think a company like Tesla could potentially solve those problems. But
yeah, it'd be good if we could use a lot of those minerals and things that we're getting out of the dirt in our ground, like actually refine them here instead of shipping them over to sea to then come back to us as batteries.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have this history in Australia of basically allowing other people to come take our precious resources, if it's not gas, if it's not iron, if it's thing, and then just letting them take it without taxing them. And even one better, the government subsidises them with fuel things, or they give them basically permission to rip up Aussie material to ship overseas. And like the example is gas, right? Like we pay gas prices here, and I mean like gas, not fuel. We pay market rate when we mine it here, when we export it to the country, and then we buy it back from that market export. Why are we doing that? That seems silly to me. It does seem silly. Why don't we keep a small reserve that is for Australia? Yes, allow them to export externally, but tax it, bring it locally, keep local jobs, keep the price of energy down. It could also help us move over to a more sustainable future with gas. I mean, gas is not perfect. It still emits CO2, but it's going to be a hell of a lot better than coal-fired plants. And we know there are a lot of issues around our coal-fired plants where they're aging, and they don't want to continue the lifespan on that. So we need an interim solution. Like we can't rely on, I think, solar and wind entirely at this stage. I think there needs to be a transition, and I think that transition way is via either hydrogen or gas. I think that's going to be our middle ground. So yes. Do you want to talk a bit about misinformation? There seems to be a lot of that online.
I guess, yeah, what are some of the common ones? I think I like the meme you sent me from Facebook the other day, which was around something of, it wasn't even a meme, it was someone just whinging that people that own electric vehicles, we should make them only...
use solar only.
Use solar and wind only. And it's like, oh, alright, so if we unpack that a little bit, okay, let's say we're not drawing from solar, we're drawing purely from the grid.
Yeah.
At least it's still Australian coal, mostly.
Yep. So you're keeping Australian jobs for now?
It's been dug out of the ground by Australians and is here. It's a fuel source that we're not dependent on from another part of the world to be shipped over, even if it is coal.
From a security perspective, right? Like we don't depend on anyone else to keep that coal fire plant running.
Yeah. And I think it's still emitting carbon emissions, but I think there's a few studies that are showing that it's still greener doing that than burning petroleum in your...
Yeah, I mean, and like this is the thing I get frustrated when I see like people are just like, oh, they're not as efficient. Like, I think a lot of these arguments that go online saying that it's more efficient, like it's not as efficient, EVs are worse for the environment than petrol cars. They seem to negate the mining process behind getting fossil fuels, right? So you've got to, first of all, dig a well somewhere. So whether that's in the ocean or whether that's in the desert or whether that's in the ground, you got exploration. So you got to explore, you got to find these oil things. You then got to use energy to dig those holes, and then once you've dig those holes, you need to pump the oil out, and when you pump the oil out, you need to ship it to a refining center to then refine the power, to refine the fuel, and then when you refine the fuel, you've got to break it into all your different fuels, and then you've got to ship it to somewhere else in the world, which then gets shipped to your service station. Does everybody forget about that part of petrol?
It seems to get lost in the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, like, and that's going with if oil extraction goes 100% correctly. Like, what about the times where it doesn't go right? What about the BP disaster that happened off the coast of America? Like, that was an environmental disaster where millions of liters of oil just spilled, killed the wildlife all around it. Like, that's not even burning it.
They're still cleaning that up now.
Yeah, like there is so much, and you compare that to, okay, I need to dig. Let's just go with the energy production side of EVs. Like, let's just go with the worst case scenario. We're going coal-fired power plant. Yes, you're going to have to get your diggers. You're going to have to dig that coal out of the ground. You then ship it to your coal station, and then you burn it, and then you spin your turbines, and then you create energy that you then charge. That's still far less process, even just by steps, than going and mining oil. And not to mention, we're dependent on external companies, because the last time I checked, we don't have an oil refinery plant in Australia anymore. We used to, don't have one anymore, and we don't have any oil wells that we actively get oil out of. So we're still dependent on external parties to bring that oil to Australia. So even if you just look at it from a security perspective, if a World War III breaks out tomorrow, which, let's be honest, it's a bit scary at the moment with all the things going around geopolitically, we would be in a world of hurt, Australia. Like,
yeah, and I don't think, like, we're not anti-fuel or anti-petrol cars, but I think when there's an alternate way of doing things, like, try and go in eyes open. And,
you got to be real about it, right? Like, we recognise that it's not the answer for everyone. EVs, and it is still unfortunately out of reach of a lot of irregular Australians, I think. But look, that's, I guess, why we started this. We wanted to track that journey. We wanted to see the progress. We want to report in, and I think the more and more misinformation I see online, and I think because I'm part of a car community, because I love my cars, I see a lot more of it. So I'm not in that world where it's only EVs and the EVs are great and everything's great. Like, I do get a view from the car world where people think it's all bad. So it's from my perspective, it's good to actually see both sides. And
it'll be interesting to see how you find it coming from your performance Rex. So I guess the more family.
Yeah, family. Yeah, look, I'm a little bit worried that I won't like the acceleration, but from what I've read, I still haven't driven a Model Y, so this will be...
That's right, you brought this out of a test drive. Just like I brought this on without a test drive.
So, there will definitely be a certain... Yeah, we'll see. I'm a bit nervous to see how bad it is. 7 seconds, quarter mile, 0 to 100. Yeah, it's pretty slow. I think the Rex was 6, I think it was what it was. And I think this is what, 5.8?
5.4.
5.4. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's been a few posts about that, so I'm interested to see how you find it. Sort of the 0 to 30, they're sort of saying, like, it's a little bit sluggish, but I think once you're rolling...
But I found that with this car, when you let me drive this car, I think that's what I found as well. I think there's a lot of torque limiting. I don't think the power's not there. I think they purposely...
Software lock it.
Yeah, software lock it, so it doesn't... basically don't spin out, you don't, burn your tyres up kind of thing. I think it's purposely done that way. But yeah, once you step on it, once you're above like 30 k's an hour, man, it does push you back even for a standard model. Like it's a decent feeling. I mean, I think when I was doing the RAV check for the registration of the VIN, the mention on there was a 220 kilowatt motor.
Yeah.
Man, like that's pretty much what the Rex was. So on paper, it makes the same kind of power, but it does weigh a lot more. So it did shock me. That car is almost 2 ton, as it's
1.9, isn't it? Or
yeah,
something?
1.9 ton.
Once you're in it and have a few passengers, you're going to be clear.
Yeah, and I think the gross load is like 2.4 tons. So that's fully loaded. Fully loaded is like 2.4 tons. Like Jesus, yeah, it's a heavy car. I guess that's where efficiencies could be seen. I think in electric cars, if they can make these batteries lighter, I think there'll be a lot of efficiencies to be seen there. Because towing around a 1.9 ton car around Sydney is that's full on.
I think you were saying that's heavier than the Ute.
Yes, yeah. My wife has a Triton work vehicle, and that's 1.8 tons. So literally, the Model Y will weigh more than the Ute. So yeah, it's interesting.
I think there's probably a fair argument there that it's going to add more wear and tear to roads and things like that. But the industry's already going there anyway with SUVs, and that's the way the market has gone. So
yeah, exactly. So interesting. Should we wrap this up, and then maybe we will do a quick, like I said, keep an eye on the socials and the videos, and what we might do on YouTube. When we get to the delivery centre, we'll do a video. We'll get some more footage and upload it.
If we end up at the Ampol, electric charger.
So from the point of view, we are still 30 minutes away. I live quite far away from the actual city centre of Sydney, so a little bit of time to go. So anyway, I'm Andrew.
I'm Shane.
And we'll catch you on the flip side. See ya.
Bye.